house with O'Connor. Hey, O'Connor, your house. Hollywood in your house. Hypocrisy's head in the clouds. Curating all kind of loud. Wrestling in front of the crowds. Paragon's holding it down. Anybody can get it. Come to us for your news and opinions. We got a voice. There is no choice. Wisdom voice in your house making wrestling noise. Moving fast is like cruiserweight action. Your house is a perfect distraction. Pop us in your ears when you in traction. Get this work with some wrestling action. Swallow.
What's up, guys? What's cracking? Hollywood House in your house. We're back. We're ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are ready to make a movie. I hope you guys are with the shits, because we're with the shits. And we're ready to talk a little wrestling. That is right. You already know the vibes. Anytime we slide on through, we're here to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling business. And we are back once again, y'all, giving y'all said work, giving y'all that energy, giving y'all that love here at In Your House. And like I said, we're giving y'all that work, giving y'all that energy. It's going to be a movie here at In Your House. And anytime I got to put the movie together, anytime we got to vibe, anytime we got to get this thing together, I don't like to do it by myself. Like, I know I give you guys those solo shots when I can. And I got to be honest with y'all. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. Like, podcasting by yourself is a task for real. It really is. So I'm always happy to have people to bounce off of. And I got somebody great to bounce off of. He's my co-host here at In Your House and my co-producer here. That is, of course, Hypocrisy Jones. How's it going, bro?
Yo, what is up, my brother? What is up, Hollywood, man? I am hyped. I know I'm hyped, but like I'm hyped today because, man, we're coming off a big weekend, man. And then we ain't even talking like mainstream wrestling, just a big weekend for the both of us and like and wrestling as a whole. So like it's huge today, bro. How you feeling today?
Man, I am on a high, to be honest with you, bro. Like you said, we both had very heavy night. Yeah, it's for real, for real. You know them vibes. You know them vibes, bro. But yo, the voice, Josh Joseph.
Shout out,
brother, man. Shout out to my bro. Getting back into the thick of things here. Man, I had a great show that I was at last night. I was in Indianapolis. It's been about a year, maybe almost a year, since I did a show in Indianapolis, and I went back and debuted as the backstage correspondent for Wrestle Arts 16, No Way Out. And I got to tell you, man, that show was a vibe.
Oh, wow. That's what's up. I know you sent some pictures, you sent some clips, you sent some stuff of Wrestle Arts. I don't know if we can show. Can we show some of the stuff?
I think we can.
I think we can. I think we can.
Oh yeah, they fighting. Hit the deck.
She hit the wall.
We got to hit the deck.
Oh, I think we might need a new paint job.
Oh man.
Get her out!
Why are you not at Wrestle Arts? What are y'all doing?
Like the man said, why are you not at Wrestle Arts, bro? Like that was crazy right there. That was absolutely crazy right there.
Yes, man.
We also got some more stuff from you. Let's see if we got it.
Man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we got everybody's favorite Psycho, the lovely Miss Larkin. I got a chance to hop on the trauma train last night.
Absolutely. That's what's up.
Yeah, she's great. Oh man, this man right here, my dog, Hoodfoot Mo Atlas, making big waves in deathmatch wrestling. Got a chance to kick it with him last night for the first time in a while. He's got a lot of stuff in the works. Ben Sheeran from the Ben Sheeran brand over there in the Kentucky area. Got a chance to work with him on this show for the first time. Cool as hell. Another great manager. Check him out. Two of my favorite people right here. That's young Avery Hertz and Storm Garcon, and they were at Wrestle Arts last night. Got a chance to catch up with those kids. Love those two. Great young wrestlers. Yeah, man, it was a great vibe there at WrestleArt 16. I really loved it, bro. But I also know you were doing some amazing things over there in Kokomo. You've been really getting
Yeah.
into this comedy thing really heavy, man. I am so excited to see your growth. I'm happy to see your growth. You sent some of those videos last night. Man, you were in a packed fucking house last night, bro. Congratulations.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so if you don't know, we've been hosting these weekly open mics in Kokomo, called the Kokomo Press Presents a Comedy Open Mic. These are free weekly events, but to correspond with this, we had a Saturday showcase. And at the Saturday showcase, we literally had a packed house. It was absolutely great. Myself and the homies of Kokomo Press, plus comedians like Julie Heckman, Austin Fry, and Ray Danger Hensley were in attendance. It was absolutely a vibe, bro. Absolutely a vibe. We even got a little clip from that too, yo.
Myself and another member who couldn't be with us here with us tonight because she just recently had surgery. We were brought on at the same time, and 100% we were the diversity hires. I'm obviously
$209 and 45 cents was way too low of an answer. It really specific.
Yeah, so it was crazy. Like it was an absolute vibe, and like, yeah, as you saw, I got up on stage, did my little thing.
Yes.
And yo, shout out to the Kokomo Press. They're always showing the
Big love to the Kokomo Press.
Homie Jordan couldn't do any of this stuff without them. So like, yeah, it was absolute vibe. So if you're ever in the Kokomo area, yo, come out on a Thursday night or come out to one of these showcases that we're gonna have bi-monthly, so every 2 months. We're gonna have another one of these showcases. They are a vibe. You see how packed that was, and everybody was having a good time. So
Yes. It seemed like it was a really great time. It seems like you guys put in a lot of work and you guys got a chance to see the fruits of your labor with a packed house. That seemed like a very vibey night, bro.
absolutely felt good, man. It felt good, and that's why I say I'm riding a couple of highs this morning. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, of course, as we all know, we are doing our thing with entertainment. I'm real heavy in my wrestling bag. I love it, man. I To be a part of the business has been a great joy of my life. And man, part of that great joy that I didn't even know that I was getting when I entered this business was meeting a lot of amazing people. I realize that now. I love to meet amazing people. I love to meet talented people, and we brought a lot of them on the show. But I want to talk a little bit about Emerge, because I've worked heavily with Emerge for a very long time, and I've done a lot of different things with Emerge. And because of the things that I've done with Emerge, I've got a chance to meet some really amazing people. I'm currently now working color commentary with Emerge Wrestling and working with a great team. And I know I've said this before, this is probably the best team that I've worked with doing commentary for the years that I've done it. And man, we got a guest that's going to come on here, and it's going to be a really, really great vibe, bro. It's going to be a great episode today.
yeah, it's going to be a great episode. I think we have a great guest. He's already catching some heat though in the chat, if you haven't noticed. But like, I think that this is going to be an absolute great episode. So if you want to go ahead and you want to go ahead and bring him on.
Yes, man. He's a great commentator, man. I just got to keep it real here, bro. Like, I've worked with a lot of people over the years for a lot of different promotions in the time that I've been involved in the wrestling business. And I consider myself in wrestling like somewhat of a journeyman, because I do like to go to different places. But if I had to call somewhere home, it would most definitely be Emerge Wrestling. And I get a chance to work with a great commentator there, great play-by-play, and that is lead commentator for Emerge Wrestling, John Gates. Welcome to the show, bro.
What's going on, fellas?
Hey.
Hollywood House, Mr. Marvelous Bell. How are y'all doing today?
What's up, yo?
Wait. I'm catching heat. I
Yeah,
heard that
yeah.
in the backstage. I was like, what?
You've been catching heat from
Oh,
the
there
jump,
it is.
man.
No.
There we go. We even have an anonymous Facebook user, which
Dang, they hating on
yeah,
the low, bro.
yeah.
That's
They hating on the
crazy.
low.
You know what's so funny is I feel
Just
the
you-
same thing when we come out of the curtains. It is a toss up if I'm going to get really loud cheers or really loud boos, and I haven't even done anything to warrant that. I feel like, but
Hey,
man.
you're polarizing, man. It's like I've compared you to Michael Cole, and people have those different feelings about Michael Cole. Now everybody appreciates him now, but there was so many years where people was like, "Oh, Michael Cole, I can't believe he's still there on commentary." Listen, Michael Cole's good, damn it. All right, get over it.
man, and honestly, the thing now that I know just how tasking it is to be like a mainstream commentator like that, because I can't imagine having the earpiece in your ear literally telling you the things to do. Like a part of the reason why I love my job so much is because I can inject my own personality, my own words into that. So now that I learned all that, as much as I didn't like him back then, I respect him so much more than I ever thought I could.
Yeah, man, he does a really, really great job. And of course, here we're going to talk about you. I mean, we appreciate the greatness of Michael Cole, but we're here to talk about you and what you do. And then we're going to talk a little bit of professional wrestling. We got the road to WrestleMania getting hot and heavy right now, man. So let's just go ahead and get this going, man. I've been wanting to ask you because I've been wanting to pick your brain, and it's really hard to do that on like show days when we're all running around things done and try to put on the best possible show that we can, which I can say that Emerge does that each and every single time. Where did things start off for you? Where did the career start off for John Gates?
We talking career, or we just talking the passion for it? Because there are two different
Let's
answers.
talk about the passion for it. Let's talk about the passion first.
Yeah, man. I mean, kind of like everybody, or I don't want to say everybody, because some people kind of got into it as they got older. Some people got into it when they were younger. For me, my first wrestling memory was Survivor Series 2002. I can't remember if it was just my mom, like I saw it in the store or like a garage sale or something like that. But I saw that, watched that, and it was, I mean, the first Survivor Series, the tables match with Jeff Hardy and 3-Minute Warning and the Dudley Boys. I mean, that show had everything. And from there, I was hooked. Watching it with my dad, Mondays and Fridays, like all the time. Then honestly, kind of like fell out of it. I feel like a lot of people have that same experience. I mean, from like middle school on, fell out of it. And then in college, so I lived in the dorms and I lived on the 3rd floor, and I had some buddies on the 1st floor. You know, we weren't all that tight just yet. But I walked past their room and I saw, I have no idea what the segment is now, but I saw the Dudley Boys. And this is like 2015 or 2016, like right when I got into college. And I'm like, what? The Dudley Boys are still going? No way. So I stopped and watched a little bit. From there, it was like YouTube videos. And then the one moment that got me right back into it, and I can't believe I'm saying this now, but it was Goldberg and Lesnar at Survivor Series for the first time. I could not believe it. I was like, a minute and a half? What? And then from there, like, you know, Ethan Woods, he's the head of production at Emerge. He's like, you guys need to come to an independent show. And it kind of snowballed from there. I started doing the audio at Emerge, started doing the graphics, and then eventually jumped into man, Joshua Kuhn with you talk about the heat. But yeah, it kind of snowballed there, man, into becoming commentator, color, you know, in your position at first, and then moving into lead. So, I mean, honestly, that's where it started. Just happenstance, chances, stuff like that.
Awesome, man. That's always awesome to hear. It seemed like it kind of happened organically, kind of like how it happened with me. You know, I started out doing the podcasting, and I just started going to so much shows. I didn't know there was so much wrestling. Like, I love wrestling, but sometimes you get a little bit worn on WWE and you're like, I want to see something else. I want to see a different vibe. So that's when I started really digging deep into that wrestling hole. And there was a lot of time where the only shows I was watching was NXT on Hulu before the network came out. Man, yeah, I put an age on myself there. Ring of Honor, big time Ring of Honor fan, you know, TNA, Impact, stuff like that. But it took me a while to start going to some indie wrestling shows before I realized, hey, there's wrestling right in my backyard, you know. So it's great to hear how your rise was organic. It sounds like you've had a love affair with wrestling for pretty much your entire life, such as myself. And man, it's just great to hear. And it's great working with you on the show at Emerge. Hype, you got any questions for John Gates?
Well, let's start off with this question from household member Joshua Kuhn of the Voice
Yes.
Show. He asked, what is your favorite part of commentary? Like, what gets you stoked to be on the mic?
Man, that's a great question, honestly.
That's a really great question.
It's a phenomenal question because there are so many answers to that, to be honest, whether it's just being able to be a part of the wrestling event that's being put on, playing a role in that. But it's honestly, it's the performance aspect. I've always been a performer. I was, in plays and musicals in high school, had an instrument, like we put on DIY concert shows in our college garage. So it's just the actor performing. And like, I know I've got the body of a Greek god, but like, I'm not getting in there. I'm not wrestling. You know what I mean? And so to find something that's kind of where it comes into play, like to be a part of a wrestling event, to be a part of something that's bigger than myself and to do it our own way. That's the most exciting part. But honestly, I get the best seat in the house and I get paid for it. So that's that's the thing that stokes me out the most.
I love that
inspiration. Man, what a good question.
And I love that, like that feeling that you just expressed, that being a part of something that's bigger than yourself and not making things something about yourself, like whether it's a wrestling event or even a comedy show or like anything that you're doing on, like knowing that like, hey man, we can bring all these people, we can make people forget about maybe the bad day that they've been having or like the bad week that they've been having or whatever, man. Like that's that love that. And I think that's what helps bring me to like things like this, doing podcasting, doing shows like I was a part of last night, doing wrestling shows. And I love that about you, that's heart right there.
And honestly, I mean, you can be selfish about it too. Cause like selfishly for me, I like having my fingerprint on this stuff. Like I like being able to say, I was there for that. Like I was there when Rhino was spearing Jordan Cage, all of these moments that I was there for. So selfishly at the same time, it's like my fingerprint is all over that. Like I can think about that years later down the line, and know that I played a pivotal role. So it's a selfish part of it too.
I don't think that's selfishness though. I knowing that, hey man, like I had an effect on this or like was a part of this. That's not being selfish in any way, especially if at the end of the day, man, you may be bringing joy to other people. You may be helping other people in some fashion sort of way or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That was a really great question, by the way.
We have another great question.
Oh, what we got? Pull it up.
Yeah. All right. Growing up, who was your favorite commentator, whether it be wrestling or sports in general? Can you take anything from different sports and entertainment commentators in and out of wrestling? And that's from the Kokomo Press.
Damn, good questions. Damn,
good questions. I feel like I needed to be prepped for some of these.
Oh man.
I mean, growing up, to be honest, it had to have been Jim Ross. I don't think there's any other answer. And like, I could be as cool as I want. But, like, he was just the guy. I mean, the passion and the energy and like every big moment that he was a part of, he helped elevate that to an even bigger moment. I mean, Jeff Hardy climbing the ladder, like that's what it doesn't get any better than that. And so, but the second part of that question is something I think about often. And I love that question because as unique and as niche as wrestling is, there's nothing like it. The beauty of the broadcasting part is that you can take things that work in other aspects and bring them to wrestling to give it that bigger feel. Now, I like my wrestling in a more sports-oriented format because, like, as much as I love the crazy stuff, the drama, all that good stuff, it's a sport at the end of the day, regardless of what you think about it. And so I watch a lot of basketball, I watch a lot of football, and there are tremendous things. And it's not just about like the stats or like pulling that stuff. It's the pacing. It's how you deliver the story. Because like in basketball, what's the story besides two teams trying to put it in the hoop? But that's when you can see what a player's doing, body language. You can see how they're taking over the game. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is like bringing the art into it. So what a great question there.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, yeah, oh, man, yeah, we're getting great questions. It's great to hear your thoughts on your process and everything, because it's been like for me, it's been really great working with you on the on the table, and I feel like we have a really good dynamic, me, you, and Lurch. And man, like I said, I. I've said it a couple times, but I haven't got a chance to say it here on this episode. Is I really get that, like, uh, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee Monday Night Raw type of vibe with me and you. Like the relationship those two have are so good. And like it's like we know that like Michael Cole was such a great straight man, an amazing straight man. But to see Pat McAfee come in and bring this other side out, this revigoration almost for the business in Michael Cole, it's great. And like being out there on the table with you, like even though you're like so fluent with what you do and calling the action and telling the story and being the lyrics to the song, I like being that guy. It's like, okay, I'm trying to pop this guy. I'm trying to make this. I'm trying to make
time,
this
man,
straight,
it works.
I'm trying to make the straight man laugh, and like that's a goal for me because I'm like, hey man, I know you're doing your thing. I know you're telling the lyrics to the song, but hey, bro, we're still having a great time here at Emerge. Like that's always what I try to do. So it's a good vibe, me and you.
It's that dynamic, man. I mean, when you get the chemistry between two people who pretty much they are just telling you the story, like, and when it is really good, it's like they're sitting right there in your living room with you, just having a chat, having a conversation. And even my girlfriend, I feel so bad because I feel like whatever I'm watching, I'm commentating to her. Not in like a mansplaining way or anything, but like the same way I am at the table, I do that. But you're right. It's all about having fun. It's all about, because wrestling is supposed to be fun. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And you kind of remind me of that when you do try to pop me and it works, you rotten bastard. Trying to do my job there.
I love it, man. I'll sit up there. I will really sit up there and tell this man jokes, dad jokes, and just say the craziest stuff on commentary just to try to pop him and Lurch. And like, I just love that, man. Like, I love that that's the role that I get to play because, like I said, and I'll say it again, John is so fucking good. And Lurch is great in his role too. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to leave Lurch out of that. But like John is just so fucking good because it's hard being a straight man. It's so hard being a play-by-play. And I don't think enough people really like appreciate that type of role. But I like to play that role where, like I said, I'm a Bobby the Brain Heenan on the table, or Absolutely. I'm a Jerry the King Lawler on the table, or a Booker T on the table, or or a Pat McAfee on the table. Yes, I'm going to absolutely tell the lyrics of the song with you, but I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going to make you feel something. I love that role that I play, but I love what you do so much because it accentuates it really emphasizes on what I do.
But here's the thing too, like, what I very much appreciate about you is when the time for that is, and when the time, and it helps too in those moments that like we can joke around, we can goof around and have a good time. But when Paragon is winning the Emerge Championship and everything is on the line, it really elevates that moment because you're fully locked into it. So it does help, like being able to have fun, but at the same time, you are very good at being able to, realize that this moment is the magnitude of this moment is what you're really, really good at.
Thank you. That means a lot, for real. Appreciate that.
I think that's Hollywood's niche, and that's what's kind of drawn me to him is that the fact that like he can poke fun at a situation all day long. He can take shots of shit, but when it's real, he's like, hey, no, this is serious. He knows when to flip and when to flip on and flip off. So like I've always liked that about him.
And another thing too, I mean, because Howse, you are phenomenal at giving people their flowers. And typically, like, you do want to tell somebody, like, hey, like, make sure you're giving your own flowers. You do give your own flowers. You are very confident in your work and that kind of thing. So that's another thing that I really, really like is your work ethic, your drive. I mean, the things that you want to do, you set your mind to it and you get there. So, I mean, all props to you on that one.
I appreciate it. Thank you, both of you. I appreciate that. I didn't want to make this. This ain't the Hollywood House show. This is the John Gates
Technically,
episode.
it is,
here.
right?
I mean, yeah, but
Every
Your
show.
name is in the show, man.
Yeah.
But this is the John Gates episode, man. Thank y'all. Appreciate that a whole lot. But yeah, man, we're having a real great episode here with Emerge lead commentator John Gates. We're talking a little wrestling. We're talking about his process there. And of course, you guys can listen to this on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts when we drop it a little bit after we go live here. And guys, we are also on IG. We are on X. We are everywhere you want to be. We right there. Give me all that work because that's what we intend to do here. And we're having a great time here. I know I am. John, we talk about your process and everything that you do and just how serious you take your job there at Emerge. And that helps me elevate my game because when I know I can work with somebody that's like, hey, I'm not here, to really fuck around. I'm here to be the lyrics to the song, to give you the best possible version of myself to help this show. And Emerge is a show I can confidently say that I've been a part of for many years, last 3 years to be exact. And like every single time, everybody is moving in all directions, trying to give the best possible product. It's dedication, it's work. It's great to be a part of so many moving wheels that's moving in the same direction. And I like that. I like being part of that, man. So like, what can you speak to as far as like, you talked a little bit about how you just want to put your blueprint on it and everything, and that's fine. But like when you're there doing prep for commentary and going around speaking to talent and getting with production and everything, like where's your head at in those moments? Like, do you have any thoughts going on through your mind, or is it just like boom, boom, I got to get here, I got to get there? What's that process that keeps you so focused when you're on the move?
Man, that's a good question too. I think at least on show day, my mind's everywhere. It's a million things at once. There's a lot to make sure that everything is in its place. And we have a phenomenal team. So as crazy as my mind's going, I'm able to mitigate a lot of that just because I know that, Ethan's got it. Austin's got it. Even the owners, they're figuring out their stuff too. So when it comes down to, cause I'm there for quite a while before even the talent rolls in. And when I first started, I was a little nervous. I was a little shy, and I know that it might be surprising because I know I can be long-winded and talk a lot, but I didn't really talk to any talent. I just did my own research, wanted to, listen back to it and see what I could do better. But it was right before the pandemic probably is when I started like, okay, I'm going to start talking to the talent. I'm going to get their idea. And a lot of talent love that. I didn't realize just how many, because there have been a lot of talent that tell me like, thank you so much for asking me, or I'm sorry, I don't actually have anything for you because nobody asked me that. And that has opened up an opportunity to not only make myself better, make the talent in the ring, better, and I shouldn't even say better, just, mold that story and tell it to the audience there and help them in that way. But at the same time, it's just opened up my mind to so many other things. I've met some amazing people just because, I walk up to them with my little book, and you probably see me do that a lot. But
I have.
Show day to me is, I've done all my research at that point. I want to iron out some things. I just want to see like where the stories are going, and if making sure that I'm punctuating the right sentences. And so mostly it is just the talent, like seeing what are those things that you want me to talk about? What are the things that you want the audience to know that they might not be able to capture just by watching your match? So it's a million different places, but the biggest thing is, I think, just talking to the talent and seeing where their head's at, because if I can see where their head's at, then my mind becomes a lot clearer at that point.
Sure. Absolutely. We got a question here from Voice. What you got here? He wants to know, what's your opinion on knowing the story in front of you before the show, or to be surprised what the talent is doing? Short question. Do you prefer to know or ad lib to see what you're seeing? Another really good question. Yeah. For me personally, I like to be surprised, but what's your thoughts on it, Gates?
I think it depends. In a perfect world, like I would love to just ad lib. I would love to just give my genuine response. There are things sometimes there are stuff that's way too intentional. It's way too, it has to be managed at that point to where I would like to know at least an idea of what's going on so I can be in the right space. I can point to the right direction. But yeah, in a perfect world, like, and you'll see this too, like, hey, John, do you know what the finish is? Like, nope, don't tell me either. Like, I don't want to know it.
Yeah.
Just do it, and then we'll go from there. So it can depend, but in a perfect world, it is like I want to be surprised.
Absolutely. Hype. You ain't talked in a while, man. Slide in on here, bro. You better get in here, bro.
Yeah. No, sorry. I love
that smooth voice too. Yeah, we're trying to hear that.
I love the energy that you guys are bringing. And I just love hearing the stories about, being a commentator, doing commentator, just because I love to soak that in. And earlier you were talking about how you can take different things from outside of wrestling to add to your wrestling, and I love that. But I also love taking things from wrestling to put them into other elements. In my other groups with the Kokomo Press and such like that, I love to add wrestling elements to things like that, whether it's jokes or character or things like that. Have you had any opportunities outside of wrestling to mold your craft or mold yourself in this entertainment field?
That is a really good question. Because as I mentioned, like I was performing, I was in plays in middle school, or plays in musicals in middle school and high school. And then from there, the wrestling kind of started in college, but I was kind of doing some other things, like whether it was performing with a little cover band that I had in high school, something like that too. So I honestly, wrestling is kind of my main creative outlet right now. And that's also a big reason why I love that wrestling. So, but I'm trying to get on some of that, the grind that you guys are doing, like, creating content or doing something like that. I just haven't quite figured out exactly my role. I don't want to just be another guy going out there and putting something together. So it would be fun, but like at the same time, yeah, wrestling is kind of my main thing right now.
I love that. Us at the Kokomo Press, we're always looking for actors or things like that. So if you ever have the itch or ever want to do some things, I know some people, and we know some people, so we can get you in some things. But
yeah, man, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd like to see something like that, to be honest with you. That'd be dope. Yeah,
man, let me know. Man. I'm in there like swimwear.
Man, that's great. Yeah, that's a vibe, bro. That'd be. I'd like to see that, because Kokomo Press really does do a lot of great stuff, whether it be being involved in movies or even just doing skits and stuff and putting on comedy shows. Like, if you really are trying to dip your toe in different facets of entertainment, Kokomo Press is definitely a place that can point you in the right direction, and that's why I really respect what they do for their community and probably soon branching out past their own local community. So yeah, it's a great vibe. It really is.
We're trying to branch out as far as we can. So there's a whole lot of funny in the Midwest, but
representative in Indy. Well, I mean, you already got one in Howse now. Welcome to Indy, by the way, Howse.
I'm happy to be here, man. I am so happy to be in the area, and I feel that energy. Like, anytime and I know everybody's like, oh, it's just Indianapolis, and everybody was talking about how the All-Star game was a bust here and everything and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, man, when you live in a little small ass town or whatever, and you get to Indianapolis, like, it's definitely a little bit different. And I feel that difference, and I like being a part of that difference. So, like, hell yeah, basically, I'm just happy to be here, bro. Just happy to be here, man, as we're having a great conversation here, talking wrestling, talking to my man, John Gates, lead commentator for Emerge. And man, you talk about doing a little bit of content creating, man. So like, what would you dig into, man? Because I know for me, like, I broke in because of podcasting. That's what opened all these doors for me to do everything that I'm doing in wrestling. And then I did a little bit of streaming, like my son does some, he does his own streaming channel. I produce that. And but we're taking a little break on that now. But like, where would you want to dip your toe in as far as like content creation?
Man, that's the thing that I think is kind of stopping me. And I know the biggest thing too is like, if you want to do it, just do it.
Yeah.
And I just haven't gotten to that point yet. But like, I've dabbled my toes in content creation, and in high school had gaming YouTube channels that I put a lot of effort and time into. And we this is my first podcast experience that's not my own, but like we used to have a podcast. We called it the Four Corners Podcast. And we did that for quite a while. I love doing that. Just love being able to chat with the boys there. So I don't really know and I think that's a big thing too, is it's hard to narrow down exactly what I would want to do because I have a lot of interest, whether it is wrestling, whether it is video games, whether it is sports or basketball. I'm a big music head too. And like outside of that, even just like being, if I can consume it in a video or audio format, like I love that. And so that's kind of where I'm, I don't know, like when you guys first started, did you try to narrow something down? Like how did that kind of start for you? Was it just the idea of like, I just got to get something out there and then go from there? Or did you have something like knocked down there?
So like, are you talking about the show here specifically?
No, just in general. Like when you get like,
do anything?
Yeah, I guess Howse in its, in its current format, like, was it just a matter of just starting, going from there? Or like, did you have, itineraries for that?
I didn't, bro. Like when I first started podcasting, it was just, so I had been in the music scene for quite a while, and I was actually promoting and running a lot of independent music events that I'd also perform on as well. And I was putting on a couple of different talents. We'd have dancers and stuff and make it a real experience. And it was it was a tour called the Conrome and the Phantoms, and a dance crew that would dance around. Like, if I could find no videos, I'll put it on here. But like, just like my dudes, they're just like killer dancers and stuff. Like, and then I have a couple other like hip hop artists and stuff like that. And it was just one of those things that we would go to different states and bring it there, and we had a whole blast. But then after we ended up getting pregnant with our third child, I kind of had to slow that stuff down. And then I had started like working full time again and everything. And so I had to slow it down. So my thought process was, well, I'm working at my current job. I used to work in trucking as a dispatcher. And I'd have a little core group of friends there. Anytime we'd come into work, a lot of our day would be talking wrestling to help us get through the day. So we would just talk about it. And it just got to a point where it was like, I'm the type of person that like, I like to do this stuff. Like I've been in front of a camera like a whole lot of my life. Like I grew up on like Hollywood movie sets because my dad used to work as a security guard on Hollywood movie sets. So I've been around that culture a lot. And then I come from a family
taste of it for it young.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, and I used to be in studios when I was a kid too, like was watching R&B groups come in and out of my uncle's studio because he had a studio there in Los Angeles. So you'd see a whole lot of like musicians come through like that he would work with. And I got a chance to be a part of that and see firsthand how that works. And for me, it was always like, I do want to do something in wrestling, but I also want to do something in media as well. So I had the idea of doing a podcast after I talked to my brother about it. And he was like, why don't you just do a podcast? You could talk about wrestling for hours. So for me personally, and it's true, I really can.
And now look at you tens of thousands of hours later.
Yeah, yeah, man, yeah.
No lie.
But it was, for me, the process was just kind of, let's do it. Let's get into it. If I wait for everything to be perfect, then I'm never going to do it. So I started with like a little computer mic, like not high quality at all. And I just started off doing little programs with little whatever programs. So I found something serious and I was like, all right, now my mindset was, okay, now I got to figure out how to push this out to other people. But for me, like the first episode was very rough. And it was just me trying to figure it out, because it's like I said, it wasn't me knowing what I was doing at first. I was just like, I got to get this out, because if I don't do it, if I keep thinking about it so much, I'm never going to actually do it. So it was just, it had to be bad first, bro. Yeah. Yep. It had to be bad first. So that was my process, was just do it, you know?
Yes. Nike that shit, bro. Nike that shit.
Nike.
That's how I started too, for a long time. I was just like, when podcasts started, I was listening. I was like, I could do this. Like, I could do this.
Yeah.
Like, I started off listening to like wrestling podcasts, which was weird because I don't think at the time a lot of people were listening, and wrestling wasn't like that niche as it is now. But wrestling podcasts actually got me back into wrestling, and then it was like, hey, I think I could actually do this. Like, I don't think I could be, or won't be bad at it. And then that mindset kind of steamrolled. It's weird because I fell into the Kokomo Press stuff, and then we started doing the podcast with that, and then I met up with Howse, and I was and we linked up, and like I just held on ever since. I was like, you're not letting me go. So
yeah, man, no, it's been great, man. For me, like, the thing that really brought me into wrestling podcasting, because I used to there's still videos out there on YouTube of me doing like a video show of reviewing wrestling. And I also did some like freelance type writing for NoDQ.com. So I wrote some articles on NoDQ.com for a little bit years ago. This was years ago. But yeah, man, for me, it was the Taz show, bro. Like, I loved the Taz show. Taz is great, like, as far as the wrestling and stuff and this commentary, and like, but like, to hear him talk wrestling on a podcast, especially since he has the perspective of not just a wrestler, and he's not just some wrestler. Like, he was a world champion, top tier for ECW. Like, he was at the upper echelon of ECW. This is not just some slouch here. Like, he's a great. And then the way he transitioned into commentary was just so smooth. And like, I'm like, dang, I didn't think that this badass from Brooklyn, New York could speak so eloquently and like tell stories so well. And he's still doing it on a very high level with AEW currently. But his podcast really opened my eyes and really showed me so much about wrestling. And I was like, man, if this guy can do it, I think I got a chance, you know. And that's no knock on Taz. It's just like, he inspired me to do it. Like, that's how I kind of started. Was Taz opened the door for me.
I love that.
Well, it's about like relative experiences too. I think that's a big part of like what podcasting can do for folks, is that all you see is you just see the success at the end of it. That's all you see as the consumer. But I feel like the podcast really gives the speaker, the presenter, the idea to expand upon their thoughts and expand upon their processes. And as you, the listener, you know, it's not just seeing the end of that story anymore. It's seeing how they got there. And at that point, that's where you can relate your own life experiences. Oh, well, this happened to me, like this happened to me, or like I do this and I like doing this. And I can see how that could inspire, you know, somebody like you.
Yes, man. That's always been something I've always seen. I got my cousin Dallaire over there on IG Live. What's up, cousin? Appreciate you sliding through. We definitely got to catch up here soon. But yeah, man, I've always enjoyed just listening to the process. And I think with podcasting, that's like, I listen to a lot of basketball podcasts. I know you're a basketball man as well, just like me. I listen to a lot of basketball podcasts, like a lot of stuff on The Ringer. I listen to Raja Bell's podcast. I listen to Austin Rivers' podcast, Kevin O'Connor's podcast that he does with Chris Vernon, The Mismatch. I listen to a lot of Pacer podcasts. I listen to Setting the Pace with Alex and Facci. I listen to the Locked On Pacer podcast with Tony East. Like, I listen to all that stuff. Yes, every morning, man, every single morning. And I'd be locked into those podcasts. And like, I think podcasting for a lot of people, it's like kind of like granular, you know, like it's almost like you're breaking it down too much to where it's like, this is like too boring. You know, I don't want to hear so much of the process, but like that's what we very much do here on this
Right.
show. Is kind of like we get real granular here and we break down things that we see, and we're going to do that because pretty soon we're going to be talking about WrestleMania and get Gates' thoughts on the road to WrestleMania and everything that it entails with it. But for me, it was always about, I love the process and I like hearing about the process. And like, that's what really attracted me to being able to podcast and doing it from a fan's perspective at first, and then transitioning into somebody who broke into the business. And this all kind of, if you listen to the podcast, like in real time, you can hear that transition from me where I'm like, going from like a fan to like still keeping that fandom, but coming from a more educated standpoint because I've been around a lot of smart people and talented people over my years in the business. So,
and that's a good way to put it too, because I think a lot of people can miss that. Like once you get into the business, you can stop being a fan. When that happens, like you might as well just get out, because the whole point of this is to be a fan, to be passionate about the product, to be passionate about what you're doing. Because if you're not, then like what are you doing? Like you might as well go somewhere else. So you can't ever lose the fandom.
No,
you got to keep that passion, that love.
You have to have that. That's the whole. It's the whole reason I brought you here. It's everything. So the one, like you said, the once you lose that, then it's all over.
You might as well pack it in, bro. I mean, I know for some people that's a bold statement to say, but it's like I want like love it, bro. Like that's what brought you here was the love, you know. Like
it might be a bold to say, but as tough as it is to be in the wrestling business, it's like it could be a lot easier for you. Like if you don't love it, then it's going to be a tough one. So as bold of a statement as it is, like you do have to love it, because the wrestling business can be very, very taxing.
Oh yeah. It really can. You have to keep your eyes on that prize. You got to keep your eyes, you know, and it's not even really keeping your eyes on the prize. Like, of course, it's great to have a goal, but also like enjoy the journey as well. Like that's been a lot for me. Like that's been the big thing for me, is just enjoying the journey. Cause I started doing this like late. I was already like, I don't want to say well into my 30s, but I was like 32 when I broke into the business. And I wasn't trying to get into a ring or anything like that. I wasn't trying to wrestle. That was never my goal.
I would love to see that, man.
Oh my God. That would, oh man.
We need to start something at the table, and then you and me in the ring, 1-on-1.
Oh yeah, here we go. I think the fans would like that. I think the fans would like to see that. That'd be fun.
I'm here for that. Let's see that.
But for me, it's always been the love of the process, you know, and seeing all the stuff. Like for me, I always kept my eye on Paul Heyman when I was growing up, you know, and like it was a big thing because people always say like, oh, Bobby Heenan this, Bobby Heenan that. Well, when I was really locked in on wrestling, the big manager, the big man on campus was Paul Heyman, and has been for a very long time. Now, of course, doing the stuff that I do as Hollywood Howse and my work with the set, and my work with Sam Knight and Paragon individually and Kindle Fire and stuff like that. I went back and studied guys like Jimmy Hart. I watched a lot of Jimmy Hart, watched a lot of Bobby the Brain Heenan, went back and watched him, watched a lot of guys like Slick, you know, Armando Estrada, you know, just everybody. I keep my eyes on everybody nowadays. Of course, it's like Don Callis and the Don Callis family.
Right.
You know, it's still Paul Heyman, and that's why I always go back to Paul Heyman, because he's like the upper echelon. But then of course you got Prince Nana that's still out there. You know, there's a lot of great managers that's doing a lot of great work. Stokely Hathaway is another one that stays out there doing great managerial work, man. So like I studied that and whatnot. But like for me, it was always the process and seeing things and seeing the other things besides what's happened in the action. And we love a great match. Like when I'm sitting there with you, John, we're right there deep into the action of calling this action and having a great time watching the match and just enjoying what's in front of us. But like always those other roles, like the backstage announcers or the managers or correspondents backstage, the announcers in the ring, and that's why I like to see so much, like a lot of these names come to prominence, like a Samantha Irwin and stuff like that. And now even like Asia Smith over there as a referee, like, and still have your guys like Charles Robinson and things of that nature. And I just love all the roles in it. And so like when we have our referees, I always try, like me and you were always good about referencing the referees by name, senior official, whatnot, who in the, Aaron Greider and Dallas Edwards. And yeah, man, I just like that the process that we have and what we do as far as the chemistry we have, I think it enhances the show.
I agree with that. And I make a point of that to name the officials that are out there because they are just as much a part of the success to that match or to the event in general as anybody else is. If you do not have a good official in there, yeah, I mean, it can go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen it firsthand.
But that's kind of the idea of it. And we kind of go back to this idea of being a part of something that's bigger than you. And so that does kind of go into, just that kind of conversation there. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Hype, I want to talk a little bit of WrestleMania, bro. I want to get some thoughts from you. I want to get some thoughts from John. I really want to break in, I want to get this because this road to WrestleMania is getting so hot, bro. Like we're here in the thick of things. I want to jump us right into it, man. And Hype, I know on SmackDown, I know you have your smoke session that you have. I mean, you haven't had a chance to do it, but because you're doing so much work, it's totally understandable. But one thing that I want to highlight and get your guys' thoughts about, and I'll start with Hype here, and then we'll get John's thoughts. Is we had a match last night, or I'm sorry, on SmackDown Friday night, Santos Escobar against Rey Mysterio, and we got a chance to see Santos Escobar pick up a big victory against Rey Mysterio, and that reason why is because we saw the reemergence in Rey Mysterio's life of his son, Dominic Mysterio, and that really stuck out to me because I was even on the ride to Wrestle Arts yesterday with my son. I was like, I didn't think we was going to have a Rey Mysterio WrestleMania match. Is it looking like we might be getting Rey versus Dom Part 2 at WrestleMania?
Yeah, were you confused by that too? Because I was definitely confused by that. I didn't know why Dom. I appreciate it. Like I'll take some more Dom and Ray because that's good, and that definitely makes for a WrestleMania thing. But I don't think it's just gonna be Dom and Ray. I think there's like if you add the other elements of Santos Escobar in the equation, as well as why am I not thinking of his name?
Ray.
On Raw, that Andrade.
Andrade, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Elements like Andrade and even Carlito and maybe some LWO. I think they made maybe they're throwing all of this together in some facet. But I don't know where they're leading to this, and I was kind of confused, not gonna lie.
I it was a little confusing, but I think that I really do feel like they did not have any plans for Ray. They didn't have any plans really for Dom. And like you want to get Dominic Mysterio on the show. He's one of the biggest heels in the company right now. So they have to kind of I do feel like they kind of scrambled for this one, but hopefully they can pick it up and have a great WrestleMania match if that is where we're headed. Gates, what's your thoughts on it when you were checking it out? I don't know if you checked out the show live or not, but what were your thoughts on it on when you heard the fallout of that match and what we could be leading to?
I would love to see Dom and Ray again. I really liked their just the idea and that's kind of where the beauty of wrestling comes in too, is that there's no other storytelling, vessel quite like it. Like this is a story that's literally 20 some years in the making, however old Dom is. Now, if they don't do Dom and Ray one-on-one at WrestleMania, I think I wouldn't be too mad, because the only thing that got me so bad was the damn Cinnamon Toast Crunch ad for this story that was supposed to be
it's gonna
father versus son. Like it doesn't get any more terrible than that. Like seeing these two have to rip each other apart, and then you got that goofy ass Cinnamon Toast Crunch dancing across the. So if they just put in, like you're saying, Santos Escobar and Andrade, they add that element to the match, you can still have an incredible match without being insulted that there's this Cinnamon Toast Crunch thing. And I'm supposed to believe that this is, the most heartbreaking moment of their lives together. So I don't know, man, but
I don't. We're about to have a whole WrestleMania where there is a Prime bottle in the middle of the ring. So
And here's the thing too, like I saw a lot of people were upset about that and like the idea of having, a sponsor on the ring. I actually quite like that because, you do watch other sports and there are sponsors all over the place. And I mean, even in like New Japan or something, there's
Japan
15 to 20 sponsors on the mat at the same time.
Yeah.
It's not that as much as it is just and WWE has to do it. I mean, they're the pinnacle of the entertainment, the pinnacle of making money in wrestling. But just in regards to that match specifically, like if they save it, and how old even is Ray? Is he like 42, 43 or something?
I think he's a little older than that. I think he's beginning to push 50. And my God, the way that he still moves around in the ring. I was also talking about this with my son the other day. He's still, and I feel like people don't talk about it enough that when Rey Mysterio does wrestle, like he has wrestled at the level that he's wrestling at far past his shelf
49.
49.
Yeah.
And he's 49 years old and he's still doing springboards. I really feel like that, like we're not. Rey Mysterio Jr. has wrestled. We talk about like a guy like LeBron James, who's like 39 years old and still wrestling at playing basketball that is at a high level. Rey Mysterio Jr. is 49 years old and still wrestling at a very high level. It's just wild to me. I'm sorry, it's wild. Right. Paul is a creator and got his shit in the middle of WWE ring ring. Bravo. I'm not hating on that.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm trying to get the In Your House logo in on a wrestling ring or on a wrestling mat or maybe at a merge. Man. I'm just saying. But like we're just throwing that out there.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Logan Paul too, since he brings him up, like as you can love him, you can hate him. That's kind of the point of pro wrestling, right? Like when Logan Paul first came on the scene, I was so mad to see him in that. And that's real stuff. It's not even just me as a fan, like, but it turns into that. And then to see Logan continue to like, he just understands it. He just gets it. He knows that wrestling is about moments. He knows the timing of it. And it's the same thing with like a comedy show or even like music shows and stuff like that. So as much as I hate Logan Paul, he gets it, man. And he's perfect for that. So go get your money too.
Because he's actually good. Like,
exactly.
You want to hate him because,
and I want to see him get his ass beat.
Yeah, and you want him to kind of suck, but he doesn't. And it's
every time he goes for like the
time.
why can't I think of what the buckshot lariat? Like when
he
goes
buckshot
for that,
lariat,
like,
there it is.
You're gonna fall, aren't you? And it's
no, and he does it better than Hangman. So like,
oh my gosh, yo, and that's why you know what, you guys are so right, because that's why it was so emphasized when there was a little bit of a botch on that Spanish fly through the table with Ricochet. And they emphasized on that so much because everybody was ready for him to fail. And they even made that part of the story going into their match, So like people are really rooting for this guy to fail, but damn it, he just knows how to keeping his name in the conversation. And for that reason, I can't hate that man.
No. It's working. And Khan's going to have to drink Prime at WrestleMania, so.
No, that's not happening. Not happening.
Yeah, that's
not happening. So we're moving on because you're going to be when Kevin Owens is that new United States champion. That's going to be happening. You're going to be drinking that Prime right there in my brand new living room, and I'm going to videotape it and I'm going to put it on all my social media. And then Logan Paul is going to retweet it, and then you're going to get all the attention because you're the one drinking the Prime. And then I'm going to sit up there and be like, dang. If you would have just won the U.S. title, I would have drank it and I would have went viral. So just look at the bright side of it, man.
Well, I didn't think about it like that. I really didn't. And well, damn. But Logan Paul's gonna win, and you're gonna have to drink Prime, and we're gonna record it, and it's gonna be magnificent.
Wait, have neither of you tried it before?
Never once.
Never.
Me either. Y'all are gonna have to tell me how it is, because like part of me is like maybe I should try it at least once, but never have.
My household does not support Logan Paul just in general. So this is like a thing. Like I'm not losing, although like Logan Paul is my horse in this race. I'm not losing.
It's gonna be great, man. So we got a little bit of time here left on this episode. I've been meaning to ask you, man, on this show, what's your thoughts on the story here, man? Of course, we know what story it is. When you say the story in wrestling these days, every wrestling fan knows what you're talking about.
One answer.
And what's your thoughts on it, man? What's your thoughts on Roman Reigns? What's your thoughts on The Rock's role and the swerve that's been taken with The Rock, as far as like, it feels like they're kind of testing the waters early on in this feud to see if they wanted Rock versus Roman Reigns, and then kind of transition Cody maybe to Seth Rollins. But then the "we want Cody" movement just kind of swayed things and everything. So what's your thoughts on the story? What inning do you think they were in, and what do you think the result's going to be in at WrestleMania 40?
Is that a question for me?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the big one. All righty. I think kind of like how the Pacers are. When you have so many options like on the bench, it's a good bad thing, right? It's a good problem to have. And in the last 10 15 years, I feel like WWE, when presented with that same scenario of having a lot of options, which is a good problem to have, it seems like they went the wrong route with it. So now in this case, it's a good problem to have, because what option can you go with? Any of them are going to be plausible. I haven't really been watching WWE like that. I know it's a lot different now, and so I'm pretty confident that they'll just do the right thing, which the right thing can be a number of different things depending on how you present it. I think having The Rock is back and being able to shut the fans up about The Rock and Roman one-on-one. Does it need to be for the title? No. Or even Rock and Roman in general. So I don't know, but eventually Cody will win the title, whether it's now or whether it's even next year or something. And I don't even know how close Roman is to San Martino's reign. Is he still pretty close to
it's still pretty far.
Hogan, Survivor Series.
What other record is known for on that?
It's Hogan.
He can't pass.
Series?
Yeah, he can't pass Bruno
had that 10 or 11 year reign.
He cannot pass that, but he can pass Hogan, and that will culminate around Survivor Series.
I don't know, man. I think they might end up doing it, because to have Hogan, much as they've welcomed him back, it would be nice to have him off of the record books, have somebody like Roman, and to have to have a black man too, doing that. Hey, perfect. Take Hogan out of there. So you know what?
Wrong.
And
for
I've been
Roman
saying
too, you're not wrong for saying this. Don't feel bad.
No, man. And for Roman too, the trajectory that he's been on, the journey that he's been on, I never felt like it was right for him to get the hate that he did, because he was just doing his job. He was doing what was asked of him. And if you're handed a fat sack of money, you're doing that damn job. And now he gets to reap in that, going back to the idea of wrestling being so unique and having decades worth of stories, for them to have these two mammoth stars again in Roman and a Cody, and they can clash head to head. I think that they can go in the right direction and make the right decisions. We'll see.
It's a good problem to have. It's definitely a good problem to have. Hey, household, I have to jump off of here, but it was great chatting with you, John. Always great chatting with my homie Hollywood House Show. You can catch me at the right here in your house, but also at the Kokomo Press. Check us out there. Come out to a show, please. We have these Thursday shows. They are great. Come out. It's a fun vibe, fun time, fun opportunity. Do some stand-up, do some open mic if you want to. Opportunities there. But this was fun. My name is Hypocrisy Jones, and I'm out, yo.
Later, bro. Appreciate you coming on and having this great conversation. But we're going to keep this conversation going here with John Gates, and it's going to be a great, great vibe here, man. So you're big on the story, of course, and your thoughts on the story and everything. But there's a lot of stories that's being told currently within the confines of the WWE. And I want to get your thoughts on the story that's going on right now that I said on one of my recent episodes that I feel like is one of the more underrated stories that they're telling right now that's really good, and that's the story of Bayley and Damage Control. It's, to me, that's been a really good story. We've seen Naomi get looped into it now. We've seen Bianca Belair get looped into it now. Where are you at on Bayley and her match with Io Sky, everything that's happened with Damage Control leading up to WrestleMania, and what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, man. I mean, it kind of does come down to the idea, WWE loves doing that, putting people together just to break them apart kind of thing. And for the most part, it's like, yeah, that does kind of stink. Now, it does usually end up in a good match, typically, because the story's there and everything like that. But I think this is a great example of, we didn't really see that coming to begin with, and they seemed like a force for the longest time. And that is kind of the situation of like, all right, well, there you have it. There's your story. Bayley and Io Sky, both tremendous in-ring competitors. And when you have that kind of in front of you, it's hard to pass up, So I think that Io Sky should win. I think that she is still, Bayley's already kind of like the megastar. She's been in the WWE for several years now. And Io Sky, she can get there. And I feel like this is a match that could get her there.
Yeah. I'm really seeing this rise of Io Sky as kind of like the faction leader there of Damage Control, and it kind of had to happen because a lot of Io's title reign, I always felt like she was just like she was the champion, but she was still kind of in the shadow of Bayley a little bit. Exactly. And I don't think that was and I don't think that was Bayley's intention, because Bayley, from my vantage point, from my vision. I mean like out of character, like
okay. I thought you meant in the story. I was like, that's the whole point, right?
Like, no, within the confines of the story, yes, that was definitely her intention. Okay. But I feel like with Bayley being like, she's been so unselfish in helping build stars in like this last year or so that I think she was like, okay, I kind of gotta, fuck off a little bit and be and it helps everybody because Io gets to take her place as the champion and the alpha of Damage Control. And then Bayley gets this really great story here where she's now a sympathetic babyface, where she's trying to get people on her side. When I kind of compared it a little bit to like when Jey Uso went to Monday Night Raw and he was kind of all on his own. And he only people that he had behind him really was Cody, who brought him back to Monday Night Raw, but everybody else was kind of like, I'm not messing with you. You was kicking all of our asses for months with the bloodline.
How are we supposed to trust you?
Exactly. And like, that's kind of what we're seeing there with Bayley a little bit, is that she's like, Naomi was not there for that stuff. So Naomi's like, listen, I got your back. But Bianca Belair's like, I don't trust you. I'm not messing with you. So like, it's been a really good story. And I just think that the way they've done it has been so uniquely them, and it's really been a great highlight on women's wrestling as far as not only the title itself, but the story that's wrapped around the title.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for Bayley too, because when it comes to wrestling, like especially now, there are so many wrestlers who just have that tweener. You know what I mean? Like they want to be cool and they want to be badass, but they can't they want the cheers as well instead of the boos. So when Bayley was such a straight-laced hugger character, like that's as white meat babyface as you get. And to turn her in the way, which did need to happen, she needed to break out of that mold too, to get her into this nasty, nasty heel role. So it is cool, like in and outside of the ring for them to be able to peel that back that way that she can get the flowers in the ring again. Now, typically in that way, you would have the baby going over. You would have, the good guy going over for that big moment. But I think that you can tell an even better story to have Io run roughshod with this as her group. Like this is her group. and this is
Yeah.
not her moment to be overshadowed anymore. Bailey can get that in the future. She can get those flowers. She can get that win, but it's time to kind of pass it off to the next guard, or not even pass it off, but just prop up. This is the future right here.
Absolutely. I agree with you, man. And we talked a little bit about it on the last episode of In Your House that we did. We talked a little bit about how some people can just kind of get so focused on WrestleMania that they're not thinking like, hey, we still have stories to tell past WrestleMania, you know?
Exactly.
So like most definitely I can see a world where Io Sky retains the championship at WrestleMania, and it just creates more adversity for Bailey trying to climb up that hill. And honestly, I would be here for it. I would also I also wouldn't mind Bailey having that WrestleMania moment, but I think, like you said, you can tell a bigger story with Io and Damage Control just being so dominant over the course of the next few months. And then maybe Bailey can have that moment, maybe at a SummerSlam, maybe at a
Right.
Survivor Series if you want to drag it out that long, because we can't. I know everybody wants a WrestleMania moment, but like it's just all about moments, period. And like we still need like Money in the Bank moments to talk about over the
There's
years. We still
3
need,
other big shows.
exactly. We still need SummerSlam moments to talk about. We still need Survivor Series moments to talk about. Hell, just last year we had a big Backlash moment to talk about with the LWO coming together, Damian Priest and Bad Bunny, and that huge moment and what it was like. At other shows, Royal Rumble has to have moments. Like I totally get like WrestleMania. We're on the road there. I'm excited. It's going to be great. But other shows have to have big moments too. That's going to be edged in the back of your mind for the rest of your life.
Man, I agree with that. And two, like the idea of you do have things to go off of, and you kind of talk about, they don't trust Bailey, like Bianca doesn't trust Bailey. The idea with that too is like you can really dig into like, oh man, I feel so bad for Bailey. Like she's trying her hardest to get people to trust her, to get people on her side. And when you can eventually have that moment, where like a Bianca finally, I'm tired of this too. Like I see what you're going through and we're in this together. Not only do you give Bailey that moment, but then as well, like I know Bianca's already, like stratosphere with her stardom.
Yeah.
But having her beside there too, that still is not only propping up somebody like an Io Sky or the rest of Damage Control, but then you do the same thing with whoever might help Bailey or whoever might be there. So I agree with you though, man. And that's, coming back to this a lot too, we came back to it a lot, is that wrestling is always progressing. There's always something else. That's the beauty of the storyline. So you're right. Like WrestleMania doesn't have to be the end all be all. Like we got to blow our load right here. Stretch it out. Like have that beautiful storytelling. Go away from it for a year. Come back to it later. Like there's just a plethora of that you could do with it.
Oh, absolutely, man. I think there's so much that you can do there with the Bailey and Damage Control story, and I'm loving to see it. But another thing that I do like to see there, Gates, is a good ladder match. I love a good ladder match. I'm waiting for the time that it happens at Emerge. I know there's been ladder matches at Emerge, of course, but I'm waiting for the time that me and you get to call a ladder match, because I haven't got a chance to call a ladder match yet, and it's my favorite match stipulation. I haven't called one yet. So like I look forward to that time. That's going to be checked off my box because I haven't called my favorite match stipulation yet. But for me to say that,
to get you in there.
I need that moment, bro. Need that moment so badly. But we're gonna have a really great 16 ladder match at WrestleMania, and it's going to be big, big, big. Like I really feel like that they tried to do things at WrestleMania to, of course, get people that WrestleMania payday, just like things like when they had the Money in the Bank ladder match there years ago, and then when they had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, and then sometimes they'll have multi-man tag team matches or multi-woman tag team matches. And this year, I really love how they formatted their multi-person match to get everybody that WrestleMania payout. We get a chance to see a big, huge 16 ladder match for the undisputed World Tag Team Championships. I think that's going to be great. What's your thoughts on that match? And do you think that we can see Judgment Day retain those titles, or do you think we'll see a new champion reign at WrestleMania?
Man, I'm going to have to actually look up the competitors in this just so I'm, got my P's and Q's and my I's.
Yeah, they're still determining them. Yeah, it's
okay, it is still okay. And going back to your idea of like ladder matches, I mean, the ladder matches, same thing here. Like favorite match, it's the one that really, really got me. I know I talked about Survivor Series being my first experience with that, but then going back and watching the ladder match at X7, something like that. The Hardys were my favorites growing up, and that was their thing. So we're definitely gonna have to do a ladder match and get that called side by side, because an emerge ladder match, man, they're so awesome. But
I'm sure.
Yeah. Judgment, you know what's so funny is thinking about Judgment Day when they first started compared to like where they are now. Because when it first started, it was like, okay, Edge is just doing some creepy stuff, cool. He's an old man and he's got to do something. And then they kick Edge out, and it's like, what the hell are these guys doing? And to see where they are now, like a year or two later, it's amazing, because Judgment Day is awesome. They were meant to be together and meant to have, this connection of misfits, the motley crew of people. So let them have their moment too. I think, and let me even look at this. Talk to me through some of the competitors in this matchup.
Most definitely. I actually just pulled it up right now. So right now, who are qualified in this match and will be involved in the match is the Awesome Truth. So of course, the Miz and R-Truth.
Winners right there. Boom.
There it is. Yeah. There it is. That's what we were talking about the last episode. You have the New Days, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and then you have DIY, Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, who are qualified for the match. They're doing some tournament there on SmackDown that I think culminates on next week's SmackDown to get the other team involved. But right now, that's who's involved in this match.
I mean, just out of that, like, it seems like it should be a shoe-in for Judgment Day. Kind of depending on what their plans are with Rhea, like the superstar that she is. Like, does she, are you still going to go with like everybody having the gold, or like them being these bounty hunters going after championships like that? So out of that, I mean, I don't really have a prediction necessarily. I would imagine that Judgment Day probably retains. The only thing that I would be excited for or expecting is just a good match, because WWE does know how to do their multi-man ladder matches for sure.
Yeah. I feel like in this match, I do think that because of the work that R-Truth has done and the reaction that he gets, I'm glad to see him part of this WrestleMania, but I think that they will put the titles on the roster
too, man. We talk about Ray being 49 and going. I mean, R-Truth is probably a little bit older than him, and he's
I think he's in his 50s. He's definitely in his 50s, and he's still doing great work. He's about to be a part of a multi-man ladder match in his 50s. Like, quit playing with me. R-Truth is so incredible. He's so incredible. But a sleeper pick for me would be DIY. I really like DIY. Yes, I really like DIY as a team. I've been saying, like, I've been always worried because the banger matches they had on NXT, but then, like, what are they going to do when they come to the main roster? So I feel like starting them out as a cohesive tag team, and especially the fact that they're like matching colors and matching like everything as far as a team. I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and I'm a huge fan of teams that match and look similar and are a cohesive unit.
Like they care to be with each other, right?
Exactly. Like I love that. And that's what I've been seeing in the main roster tag team run of DIY. And for that reason, I wouldn't be mad for them being the undisputed tag team champions. And then, of course, maybe there's a story later on to be told that later on they can lose the titles, and maybe Tommaso Ciampa can get pissed and turn on Johnny Gargano. And then, boom, they can have those great matches that they had on NXT right there on the main roster. But if I had to pick, if I were betting money on it, right now, unless there's some other team that is just a glaring favorite that qualifies for this match in these last two spots, I would put my money on the Awesome Truth.
Really?
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Give it to him. That would be funny. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too, like R-Truth is, as much as I could say like he deserves something like that, R-Truth don't care about that. R-Truth,
no, I don't think he
cares
does.
He cares about entertaining. He doesn't need the accolades. He doesn't need that kind of thing. He cares about entertaining. He cares about putting on a good show, and he cares about propping, people and ideas up around him. So for them to get in, man, that would be awesome. Some moment of Awesome Truth and Judgment Day type stuff. Like if they lose it, yeah, that would be funny.
Yeah, I'd be down with that, man, and it would be a great vibe, man. We've talked a lot of WrestleMania. We talked to your career and everything. We got to slide out of here, but I want to ask you, man. I want to ask you just a couple more questions before we slide out of
Sure.
here. And we'll stay with WrestleMania, and then I have another question for you that's not WrestleMania related. So, with WrestleMania approaching here, WrestleMania 40, night one, night two. Of course, we didn't get a chance to talk about the big tag match that's going to be happening. That with so many implications towards night one, going towards night two, that is, with The Rock and Roman Reigns going up against Seth Rollins and, of course, Cody Rhodes. And then, of course, the role that Drew McIntyre has played in there with his match that is going to be happening on, I would presume, to be night two of WrestleMania against Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. What's some things that you're really looking forward to at WrestleMania? Like, are those things the main things that you're looking forward to? But like, what are things that, like, when you think of WrestleMania and your excitement for WrestleMania, that you're like, man, I'm really looking forward to this thing?
I mean, I've loved the way that they've paced the 2-night WrestleManias too. Like, it feels like I get good wrestling. I get the great video package that WWE has always been for. I think it is just that idea of the kind of the story, that is kind of the big thing there. Seeing The Rock again, and this is probably The Rock's last rodeo in the ring. So just to go into it with that mindset too. But I just know that, and because here's the thing too, like, I know they're always going to put on a great show. I was at, we were at WrestleMania 30 and
nice.
No, not 30, 34, same venue, different timing. No. And that was an awesome Mania, man. I feel like the decisions were the wrong decisions in there, but it was like, looking at it on paper, you're like, okay, yeah, like AJ and Shinsuke is going to be great. And like Charlotte and Asuka is going to be great. And like all this stuff, but it was even better, even with those decisions made that I felt like could have been, better made. It was still a great WrestleMania. So just the idea that WrestleMania is back, like, it really energizes the wrestling fan too. And like people's idea of wrestling. And my biggest thing too, I love seeing wrestling in the mainstream. And that's something that WrestleMania does, is it injects wrestling into the mainstream of just like where it's not even wrestling fans, it's everybody whose eyes are on it. So, but in terms of matches, I mean, like the ladder match, but it is just those big two, like what's going to happen when, April comes around.
Yes, man. It's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to WrestleMania and everything that is going to fall out from that. It's going to be fun, man. But let me ask you, man, with all the things that you've done in wrestling, and I know you talked about wanting to do other things like content creation, maybe some acting, things of that nature. But like, what are your goals in wrestling, man? Like, what are you looking towards as far as, and I know you're somebody that is it's like-minded like me, where it's like, hey man, I'm just kind of riding and enjoying the journey, man. But are there any set goals that you have in the wrestling business that would be like, hey, if I do this and this and this, I'll feel like that I did everything that I wanted to do?
Man, that's a great question. And goals are something that are hard for me too, because I am very opportunistic. I do like to just kind of ride the wave and be present as to where I'm going. I do have some goals, I would say. Now, kind of like what you were able to do, being a manager and being that ringside voice for somebody, I feel like I could be great in that role, because I don't really look out for myself anyways. Mostly, I do want to hype up the people. That's a big reason why I am a commentator, because I can help propel the person that's in the ring. And I would like to do that on a grander scale. I would like to get back to the performance aspect of it and having the crowd react one way or another. So that would be cool. But also, I mean, who isn't in wrestling and who doesn't want to own their own company? Who doesn't want to do their own thing? That would be something eventually I would like, whether it's not even just owning my own company, but being able to put on an event, that's something that was just coming out of my mind, something that I wanted to do. So those are the two kind of biggest things. Outside of that, it really is just going with the flow, riding the wave and seeing where wrestling takes you. Because if you're not present and you're only thinking about the future, then you're going to miss the cool stuff that's happening right now.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, man. That's absolutely a great point. Guys out there in the household, John Gates, lead commentator for Emerge Wrestling, man. We really appreciate you coming through. And I always like to give my guests the opportunity to plug anything they want to plug. Where can we catch you at? What are you doing? The household wants to know, and so do I, man. So what do you got moving here?
Man, nothing really to plug outside of Emerge Wrestling. I mean, April 13th, we've got Emerge 77 April Rain with your guy, Paragon, main eventing one more time. Paragon has been an amazing Emerge champion thus far. He looks the part, plays the part, but Howse, he's going up against Justin Kyle. He's been amazing, but like Justin Kyle, we're talking about a man that's 6'4", every bit of 275 pounds. And if he yells in your ear, you immediately get tinnitus. It's the intensity, like P's going to have to be on his A game there for that one.
Absolutely, man. I mean, when I see somebody like Justin Kyle, not only the size that you brought up that came into play, I think about the epitome of intensity of just raw intensity, and just the way that he moves so fluent. He's explosive in all of his movements, everything that he does. And P has been a great champion and a very tactical champion, because that is how P is. Paragon is very much a tactician in the ring. But the thing about Justin Kyle is, if you're not keeping our eyes on him, it takes one explosion for him to put you through the ring with that spear, and you're staring up at the lights. So definitely it's going to be a big test for Paragon, but that's going to be great there at Emerge for Emerge 77 April Rain. It's most definitely going to be a movie.
Yes, sir. Talk that talk.
Man.
Let him know.
Yes, man. Going to be a great night there in Columbus, Indiana. You guys need to be there out there in the household. Come pull up, check out what we are doing, man. So one more thank you to my man, John Gates, lead commentator of Emerge Wrestling. Thanks for taking your Sunday to come on, bro. We really appreciate it.
Man, the pleasure was all mine. Anytime you need a chubby white guy commentator to come on here and talk some stuff, I'm your man. This was a blast. I had a great time with you guys.
Great. I'm so glad to hear that, man. I hope you guys had a blast too out there in the household. Of course, this will be on Spotify. This will be on Apple Podcasts shortly after. And I want to thank you guys for making us a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts. And we need you guys to continue that. So please go to Apple, please go to Spotify. Give us those 5 stars. Give us those reviews. It's very important to keep us charted, to keep us international, to keep us in the conversation of professional wrestling podcasts. And of course, when you guys hear the ads that come through on this show, make sure that you guys play them all the way through. I know ads, you don't want to hear them, but what you can do is you can fast forward those ads, which you can find on your app there. You can go, you can times 1 to times 2 it, fast forward through those ads, but it just helps just a little bit financially towards this podcast. So if you guys could do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, we'll continue to give you guys that great work when it comes to professional wrestling. So guys, you already know where to find me at. That as at The Hollywood Howse. That's on IG. That's The Hollywood Howse on Twitter, and of course on Facebook. And then you can follow this great podcast in your house on all those social media platforms. And of course, when you go to type that in, make sure that you spell my name right. It's Howse, and the W stands for work. So guys, I really appreciate you guys coming through. Of course, one last thank you to our amazing guest. That was John Gates, lead commentator at Emerge Wrestling. And guys, always remember to tell a friend to hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone. Because the household, we are still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.